Hello, everyone. Enjoy these moments of relaxation while you watch. You still haven't left? Go on and disappear. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Smith, shouted, waving dismissively as if shooing away an annoying insect. Beside her stood my husband's mistress, Claire, with a triumphant look on her face. I glanced back and saw little Liam watching me with concern. No need to rush, I replied with a bitter smile. Claire let out a mocking laugh, making Liam look even sadder. I smiled to reassure the boy and faced Smith and Claire with a cold stare. I'll be gone in 2 hours, so don't worry, I said with determination. Fine, but hurry and pack your things. My ex-husband David intervened with a malicious smile. I wondered why I ever loved this man. At that moment, I received a message on my phone. It seemed my ride had arrived. I would leave immediately. The message confirmed that my car had arrived, so I quickly grabbed my things and left my in-laws' house. Thanks for picking me up, I said as I entered the luxurious car waiting outside. Smith and David, who had followed me to the door, looked surprised. What's happening? What does this mean? Smith stammered. Subscribe to the channel and click on the notification. Help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers. This way YouTube will deliver this content to more people who will benefit. I count on your help. I am Emily, a 28-year-old CEO. Since I was young, I dreamed of starting my own design company. Emily, you really draw well, people used to say to me, and I always responded enthusiastically, yes, I want to design clothes for people. I always loved drawing. My notebooks were filled with images of girls I drew with imaginary outfits, thinking about which colors and styles would make them shine even more. Gradually, my passion for design grew, and I decided to study at a specialized school. There, I met someone who became a great inspiration to me. Emily, I really like your designs. I want to create men's clothing as good as what you make for women, said Alex, the son of a major player in the design industry. Thank you, Alex. I like your designs too, I replied, happy to have found someone who shared my passion. Alex not only studied design but also business management, learning from his father. I greatly admired his ability to balance both areas. I think you also have a talent for business, Emily. Would you like to study with me? Alex suggested one day, and that's how I started learning about business management alongside him. Over time, I began to think about starting my own company. After graduation, I was trained under Alex's father's guidance for a while. I trust you. From now on, do everything your way, he told me one day, giving me his blessing. A few years later, with his support, I finally founded my own company. I realized my dream and lived a busy but fulfilling life. Emily, if you don't mind, I want to introduce you to someone, said a friend while we were having coffee one day. I'm David. I've heard a lot about you, Emily, said David, who would later become my husband. He was a sincere person and always treated me seriously. I felt attracted to David, and after a year of dating, we decided to get married. I'm so happy to have such a lovely daughter-in-law. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Smith, warmly welcomed me and enthusiastically celebrated our wedding. Incidentally, there was no father-in-law because, according to David, he had left the family a few years earlier. Since then, I looked forward to complete days balancing work and family. But one day, everything changed. Oh, a message from Mrs. Smith, I thought when I saw the notification on my phone while in an important work meeting. I didn't answer the message immediately because I was too busy and didn't have time to call her back. She's probably complaining again, I sighed as I called back after work. Finally, you called back, she said impatiently. Sorry, I was busy at work, I replied. All right, I have something important to talk to you about, Smith responded, making me feel something was wrong. Normally, she would just complain or question me for not responding sooner, but today she let it slide easily. Actually, I need financial help, she said, catching me off guard with this unexpected request. While I was still trying to understand Mrs. Smith's request, she continued explaining. It turns out Claire, David's sister, had returned home after a divorce, impacting the family's finances. It's not just Claire, but also her 3 children, Mrs. Smith whispered. Hearing this put me in a very uncomfortable situation. As a CEO, I earned enough money to live comfortably even when offering financial help. However, as close as our relationship was, it wasn't easy to provide help without a deeper connection. Are you going to abandon us? It's not that bad, Mrs. Smith shouted, sensing my hesitation. I sighed. I'll discuss it with David, so please wait a bit, I tried to respond, holding my frustration. Before I got married, Mrs. Smith was a very kind person, but soon after the wedding, her interference became excessive. Are you taking good care of David? Are you neglecting the house because of work? She used to tell me almost every day. Honestly, as a busy CEO, these calls were really a burden. Once I told her, look, I'm busy with work. I'm a CEO. Women's work isn't important like that, so prioritize my conversations. However, this only made her irrationally angry. Mrs. Smith never believed I was a CEO from the start. In fact, she thought I did mundane jobs like preparing food or doing some office work. I'm in a position of responsibility as a CEO, I clarified. What are you talking about? There's no way you're a CEO. Maybe David, yes, but not you. Stop lying, she replied, never believing what I said and treating me as a useless or lying daughter-in-law. Even now, she continues saying things like, you don't do much and don't help here, so at least provide some financial support. Oh, discuss it with David, I repeated firmly and hung up the phone. However, I knew that even discussing it with David, I already knew the answer. Trying to calm my worry and frustration, I took a deep breath. That night, I discussed with David about Mrs. Smith's request for financial help. Smith called asking for financial help. I told him, waiting for his reaction. All right, handle the situation as you see fit, he replied indifferently. Since we got married, his attitude had changed significantly. Before marriage, he was very kind, but now he barely listened to me. So Claire got divorced and moved back in with him. David asked, blinking in surprise at me. What did you say about Claire? I asked back, surprised by his reaction. It seems your mother took Claire in, I nodded, surprised by his reaction since we weren't facing financial difficulties. You should help them a bit, David suggested. He always seemed indifferent to what I did or wanted to do, often telling me, do what you want. But as soon as he heard Claire's name, he started paying serious attention. This naturally didn't make me feel good. Maybe I should help a bit, I replied, and for the first time in a long time, David looked at me attentively. I was pleased with this and couldn't help but agree with a nod. Although I earned a good income as a CEO, I couldn't offer a large amount from the start. The fact that this was support and not a loan made me uncomfortable. So we decided to provide money every month to help with small adjustment in our budget, which didn't significantly alter our lifestyle. Shortly after starting to help, I received a call from an unknown number. Although suspicious, I answered, thinking it might be a work contact. Finally, you answered. Who do you think you are to keep me waiting? Said the voice on the other end of the line. Who is this? I asked, surprised. It's Claire, she replied. It was David's sister. She must have gotten my contact from Mrs. Smith. It would have been better if there was a prior warning. How can I help? I asked. Oh, thank you for the support, Claire said, but her tone didn't convey gratitude. But don't you think the amount you provide is a bit low? Her words irritated me. Is that how a person receiving help should speak? If you're not satisfied, I won't help anymore, I said firmly, surprising Claire. She responded with disdain. Oh, you're so stingy. Are you saying my children should go hungry? What a horrible person, she complained before hanging up, leaving me wondering if I had made the right decision. After the call with Claire, I started to regret the help, but in the end, I was the one who decided to help, so I continued even without ever receiving a thank you. Emily, let's move in with my mother and live together there, David suggested one day. What? Why are you saying that all of a sudden? I asked, surprised by his suggestion. It seemed Mrs. Smith was having back pains, and he wanted us to move in to help her. Isn't Claire already there? I asked. She's busy taking care of her children and can't take care of her mother. Besides, there are many other reasons, David argued. We argued many times, but neither of us found a solution. I'm tired of this, so I'm going to take drastic action, David finally declared. He sold the house we were living in, declared it was in his name, and sent our belongings to his parent house. As a result, we had no choice but to move in. Start working soon. You're living here for free, so you should be useful, Mrs. Smith and Claire began telling me, treating me like a maid in the house. They ordered me to clean their rooms or cook the dishes they wanted to eat. If I worked late, they whispered among themselves, "What's she doing at this hour? How filthy." I was exhausted from work and household chores, and their harassment pushed me to my limit. Let me help you, Liam, Claire's eldest son, said, but he came to help me secretly without Claire or Mrs. Smith noticing. Why are you helping me? I asked, curious about his motivation. Liam, though reluctant, confessed the truth. My father is David, he said. I was stunned. David is your uncle's husband? I asked, incredulous. Yes, my mother isn't David's sister. She was his lover, and my siblings and I are his children. It can't be, I said, shocked by the revelation, but soon after, anger replaced my surprise. It seems they underestimated me, I thought, determined not to let them get away with it. I acted immediately. After carefully preparing everything, I handed the divorce papers to David. David, I want to divorce you, I said firmly. Why all of a sudden? He asked, clearly irritated. Because of your relationship with Claire and the children. His lack of justification proved that he no longer had feelings for me. Fine, we don't need a useless wife like you, he said, and Claire applauded. David signed the divorce papers, making our separation official. It's better if I leave now, I thought as I filed for divorce. I contacted someone to arrange my departure from my in-laws' house. I'd already prepared everything beforehand, so I was ready to leave that same day. I decided to leave immediately. Mrs. Smith looked at me with an arrogant smile. You still haven't left? Go on and disappear, she said, waving dismissively as if shooing away an insect. Beside her, Claire looked triumphant. When I looked past them, I saw Liam watching me with concern. No need to rush, I said, looking at them with a cold stare. Just disappear, Claire said, making Liam look even sadder. I smiled to reassure the boy and said to Mrs. Smith and Claire, I'll be gone in 2 hours, so don't worry. Fine, but pack your things quickly. My now ex-husband David intervened with a malicious smile. I wondered why I ever loved that man. At that moment, I received a message on my phone. It seemed my ride had arrived. I would leave immediately. The message confirmed that my car had arrived, so I quickly grabbed my things and left my in-laws' house. Thanks for picking me up, I said as I entered the luxurious car waiting outside. Mrs. Smith and David, who had followed me to the door, looked surprised. What's happening? What does this mean? Smith stammered, completely confused. Ignoring their surprise, the car started moving, and we left. It must have been difficult for you, Alex, my friend who was driving, said. I had confided in him, seeking advice. Leave that family behind, he told me many times. When I informed him that I had filed for divorce, he came to pick me up immediately. Since it usually takes 2 hours to get here, he must have been waiting nearby. Now is the time to show them who you really are, Emily. Make them regret it, Alex said firmly, encouraging me. He was angrier with David than I was, grateful for his support. I started discussing my plans for the future. Can I stay at your place for a while? I asked, knowing his house was much larger than the one I was in with David and his family. Of course, make yourself at home, Alex replied without hesitation. When we arrived at his house, I was impressed by the size of the property. Although I was also a CEO, a family that had run a business for generations was on a completely different level. It was a mansion that made me feel small. You must be Emily, right? I heard a voice behind me. I turned and saw a man approaching. Let me introduce you. This is Javier Brown. He's a lawyer and a relative of Alex. He'll help us with various issues, including the alimony case. Nice to meet you. I've heard many good things about you from Alex. I'm looking forward to working with you, Javier said with a confident smile that made me smile. Leave everything to me. We'll win for sure, he said. We started working immediately. First, we filed for alimony against David and Claire. We also planned to sue Mrs. Smith for all the abuse and insults she had caused me. We have enough evidence, I told Javier as I handed over the documents. In fact, this evidence had been collected by a special person. This amount of evidence is more than enough, Javier said as he examined the documents. Thanks to this, we can successfully sue them. Shortly after, I received a call from David on my cell phone. You're joking, right? He said. No, I'm not joking, I replied calmly. You received a subpoena. What the hell is going on? David shouted. What do you mean? It's exactly what it looks like. You cheated on me and think you can divorce without consequences, I said with a smile he could feel through the phone. Don't worry, I'll make sure you pay for what you did. We were determined to make him pay for everything he did. You did this to us, he said. The next day, Mrs. Smith called me, clearly very upset. It seemed she had seen the copies of the evidence I had attached to the alimony request. The evidence was recordings in which Mrs. Smith clearly harassed me. This was enough to open a case, and it was obvious that these recordings were filmed by a third person. There's no way these videos were filmed like this. They're obviously fake, Smith shouted. I didn't record them, I explained calmly. In fact, I didn't have time to record these videos. Then who did it? Mrs. Smith asked, completely confused. I handed my phone to the person next to me. I recorded them, Liam said. Liam, Claire exclaimed on the other end of the line. Why are you there? She shouted. Liam had brought his siblings to Alex's house. If we stay in that house, we'll all be ruined, Liam explained calmly. I'm ashamed to have a mother like that. How dare you speak like that to your mother? Claire shouted again. Liam sighed and handed the phone back to me. I don't want to talk anymore, he said. So that's how things are. Please let them stay with us, I said to Mrs. Smith and ended the call. After that, I turned to Liam. What are you going to do now? I asked. I don't know yet, but anywhere is better than there, Liam replied firmly. Before I moved in with my husband's family, they had been neglected. Claire went out every day, came back very late at night, slept all day, and almost never took care of the children. Grandma loves us because we're her grandchildren, but she doesn't let us do anything, Liam explained. Mrs. Smith, on the other hand, treated Liam and his siblings as if they were useless children. She not only forbade them from doing dangerous things, but also didn't let them do anything. If they tried to study, she said, "You're a boy. Go play outside." But if they tried to play outside with friends, she stopped them, saying it was too dangerous to go out alone. The days full of Mrs. Smith's contradictions left the children frustrated. I felt sorry for them and discussed the situation with Alex, and we decided to take them in. Let's live together in this house for a while, okay? I said to Liam, who smiled and nodded in agreement. We notified and consulted Child Protection Services about Liam and his siblings. As a result, custody of the children was granted to us. In this case, we'll take care of the children, Alex's father proposed. Although Alex had studied business, he decided not to inherit his father's company. I'll follow my own path, he said. He currently worked for a small design company. Thus, his father wanted to raise Liam as his successor. I agree, Liam responded positively. He trusted and respected Alex's father, knowing he could take good care of Liam and his siblings. Of course, I'll help too, Alex said enthusiastically. Now I could ruin that house without any remaining ties. One day, while I was thinking about this, David appeared in my office. You destroyed everything, he said, accusing me and blaming me for taking Claire's children. He probably thought I had revealed unnecessary information to his company and came here to complain. Because of you, I can't continue working at my company, he continued, trying to blame me. Sighing with dismay, I decided to explain everything in detail to him. You think I don't know anything? I said. I know about your relationship with Claire, the relationship that deceived me all along, and I know you approached me with the intention of deceiving me because of my wealth. Who would take seriously a girl who only does mundane tasks in the office? He said, trying to belittle me. You're completely wrong. I'm not an employee doing minor work, I replied. But my mother said so, he murmured. I sighed. If you've forgotten, let me remind you. I'm the CEO of this company, I said, and the surprise on his face was evident. Alex had made this clear when he introduced us. That's a lie. There's no way you make more money than I do, he suddenly shouted, grabbing my arm. Let go, I resisted, but someone intervened. Enough, Javier, the lawyer who was helping me, said loudly. I had a meeting with him later to discuss the alimony requests. Stop immediately. You're despicable, he shouted at David, taking advantage of David's moment of hesitation to help me break free. What's going on here? Javier asked when the police, called by someone else, arrived and took David away. Now everything is fine, Javier said, smiling softly after witnessing the whole incident. Finally, David and Claire were forced to pay alimony. You're joking. I'll never pay. Claire resisted until the end, but there was no escape. Alex's father used some connections to ensure they paid. They failed as parents. It's the least they should do, he said with a malicious smile. I knew he was a smart businessman since I was trained under his guidance. With his connections, avoiding it was impossible. How can they pay? I asked. Claire had been a housewife, living with difficulty with my help and David's income. My father found a way, Alex said, showing that with the right connections, anything is possible. According to Alex, no one wanted to hire Claire, who had practically never worked in her life, so she had to accept a difficult job. As long as I received the alimony, I didn't care what happened to her. And what about David? Did he pay too? I asked. David was arrested once, but since he didn't cause me physical harm, he was quickly released. However, his arrest caused the incident to spread throughout his company, Alex explained. It seems David's reputation wasn't good. He deceived many people, and some talented employees noticed his arrogance during the divorce process. His true nature was revealed, and many began to say he always seemed like a problematic person. With the arrest, these rumors were confirmed, and David, embarrassed, voluntarily decided to resign. He paid the alimony with the compensation he received upon being fired. That's good, I commented. Did he also pay the alimony to Smith? Clearly, Smith had no savings, Alex explained. David's father left the family because he couldn't stand Smith's selfishness. She squandered her income, and after the divorce, she couldn't reduce her standard of living. She secretly received money from David to survive. So why did she allow Claire to stay? I asked. Alex explained Claire actually did, because although she was David's girlfriend, she ended up marrying another man. However, when it was discovered that Liam and his siblings weren't her husband's children, she was kicked out of the family. Smith took Claire in because she was beautiful and had a similar age to David. The fact that Liam and his siblings would be David's also played a significant role. Well, in the end, they lost everything, I reflected. Alex nodded with a smile. I'm curious to see how far they'll fall. A few months later, I met Liam again. Since he was adopted by Alex's father, the boy was living separately from us. My biological father came to visit me, Liam said. Claire's ex-husband apparently still loved the children, even though they weren't his biological offspring. After being contacted by Alex's father, he came to visit the children. He said that although we can't live together, we're still important to him, Liam continued. Since he already has another family, we can't live together, but he promised to visit us frequently. That's great, Liam, I said, looking at the boy, smiling with bright eyes. All this is thanks to you, Emily. I have this life now thanks to you. Thank you so much, he told me, and I replied with a smile, you're welcome. Alex, who had observed our conversation, also smiled softly. At first, Alex said, I'll take care of these children, but since he was still single, taking on the responsibility of raising someone else's children was a big challenge. That's why Alex's father decided to adopt the children. I want to become a great successor, Liam said, demonstrating pride for his adoptive father. Despite being young, he was very excited to become the heir, and his eyes shone with determination. Alex and I shared a laugh. I'm really happy to see Liam so content, Alex whispered. According to the boy, his siblings were also happy living with Alex's father, which reassured me. As I walked with a light heart, I heard someone call my name. I turned and saw David, who looked visibly thinner. You've changed a lot since the last time I saw you. I was wrong. Please give me another chance, David said, bowing deeply. He then began to talk about his situation since we separated. Since I left my job, I lost all the compensation and my savings because I had to pay alimony to you and Smith. When I tried to get a new job, the rumors about me spread, and I was rejected everywhere. But my mother continued spending uncontrollably, so we ended up in debt. David spoke through tears, his voice full of despair. I looked at him with a mix of surprise and compassion. At that moment, I realized how much my life had changed since I distanced myself from him, and how different we were now. I looked at him coldly and asked, so now you intend to stay, don't you? It's not that, but you're the CEO, right? You must earn a lot of money, David said. According to you and Smith, I'm just an employee doing minor tasks, right? I said, smiling. Sorry, but an office worker can't pay debts or support you, I continued. David was still standing there, so I called a taxi and got in. Let's go, I said to the driver, leaving David behind. That was the last time I saw him. After that, I heard rumors that he was captured by debt collectors and sent on a ship abroad. As for Mrs. Smith, she fell down the stairs and was bedridden. It seems karma finally caught up with them. When I heard about their fate, I just murmured, well, it's about time. It's time to work. Relax, you tend to exaggerate things, Alex said with a gentle smile. After this incident, we grew closer, and now we're married, forming a happy couple. Unlike David, Alex is truly kind, and I have a fulfilling life with him. If you start feeling unwell, let me know, and I'll come get you immediately. You don't have to take care of yourself alone anymore, Alex said while gently stroking my belly. That's right, a new life is growing inside me. When I was with David, I never thought about having children, but now I'm really happy to be pregnant with Alex's child. Yes, be ready to help if needed, I replied with a smile. Liam and his siblings were also very excited when they found out I was pregnant. Grateful to all the people around me, I smiled happily at the joy of my current life. It all started with a fall and betrayal, but now I'm standing, rebuilding my life from the ground up. Looking back, I realized that every difficulty and every tear brought me to the full and happy moment I'm enjoying now. As I write these lines, I feel immense gratitude for every experience I've lived, no matter how painful, because they shaped me to be the strong and resilient person I am today. The days with David and his family are now just a distant memory, a life that passed and that I can hardly recognize as mine. I remember how I used to believe that submission and sacrifice were the only ways to maintain a relationship, but those dark days also taught me about my inner strength and my ability to reinvent myself. Now, every morning I wake up next to Alex, I feel like I'm exactly where I should be, in a place full of love and mutual respect. The journey to recover and rediscover myself wasn't easy. After the divorce with David, it felt like I was walking a path full of thorns, but with each step I took, those thorns transformed into flowers blooming around me. With the support of friends and my own determination, Alex and I got married in a small ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and, of course, with Alex and Liam, who have always been the pillars of my life. I remember that day clearly, the sun shining brightly, reflecting on the lake where we exchanged our vows. I felt as if the universe was blessing me, giving me a second chance to be truly happy. With Alex, I learned the meaning of being in a relationship where both partners support each other. He not only showed me love and respect, but also stood by my side in every difficult moment, reminding me that I didn't have to face my battles alone. His patience and understanding became the balm that healed my wounds, slowly healing the scars of the past. Life with Alex is a sequence of shared moments, small daily joys that add up to create a symphony of happiness. We often spend afternoons walking in the park near our home, enjoying the fresh air and each other's presence. In those moments, I feel a peace I never knew before, a certainty that I'm exactly where I need to be. Our home is a refuge of love and laughter, where every corner is thoughtfully decorated to reflect our personality and tastes. More than the furniture and decor, it's the spirit of love and mutual respect that truly makes us a family. The lawyer Javier has become a great friend and a constant presence for both of us. We meet regularly to catch up on our lives, and he's always there to offer advice or simply to listen. His support has been invaluable, and I'm grateful for this friendship every day. He and Liam have become indispensable parts of our lives, and their presence always reminds me of the importance of having people you can trust unconditionally. As for Liam, he has grown impressively under Alex's father's tutelage. He has become an intelligent and responsible young man. His enthusiasm for learning and his desire to follow in his adoptive father's footsteps fill me with pride. Seeing him grow in an environment full of love and support makes me feel that all the pain of the past was worth it. My career has also evolved. My design company has achieved new successes, and I've been able to realize many of the dreams I had when I started. Every project we undertake is a new opportunity to create something beautiful and meaningful. My team and I work tirelessly to innovate and exceed our own expectations. The passion and creativity I feel every day at work remind me of why I chose this career in the first place. An important aspect of my current life is the pregnancy. Knowing that I'm bringing a new life into the world is a source of immense emotion and anticipation. Alex and I spend hours talking about what our child will be like, how we want to raise them, and the lessons we want to teach. I'm determined to be the best mother possible, providing my child with a home full of love, support, and opportunities. Being pregnant has been a transformative experience. Every kick, every movement inside me fills me with awe and gratitude. Although I sometimes feel tired and physical discomforts can be challenging, the anticipation of meeting our baby makes up for everything. Alex has been extremely attentive and caring throughout this process, always ensuring that I feel supported and loved at all times. I remember the day I found out I was pregnant. The mix of joy and anxiety was overwhelming, but the look of happiness on Alex's face when I told him made me sure that we were ready for this new adventure. Since then, each day has become a preparation, not just physically, but also emotionally and spiritually, to welcome our little one. We've decorated the baby's room with care, choosing soft colors and furniture that we believe will create a welcoming environment. And we've spent many nights imagining what our child will be like, what traits they will have, and how their early years will be. This anticipation has added a layer of magic to our daily lives, a constant sense of wonder and excitement. Friends and family have also been an incredible source of support during this period. Liam is very excited about the arrival of a new family member and has promised to be the best big brother our child could have. With the due date approaching, I can't help but reflect on everything I've been through to get here. The difficulties, betrayals, and losses were tough, but they also made me stronger and prepared me for this moment. I'm ready to be a mother, to give my child all the love and support I never had in my own childhood. The days of uncertainty and fear are behind me. Now each day is an opportunity to celebrate life, to be grateful for the blessings I have, and to look to the future with hope and enthusiasm. My relationship with Alex, the friendship with Javier and Liam, and the anticipation of the new family member have filled my life with joy and purpose. The birth of my child will be the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter I'm eager to write. I feel that everything I've been through has prepared me to be the mother I want to be, strong, loving, and capable of teaching my child the values of resilience, compassion, and integrity. As I write these lines, I caress my belly and smile, knowing that soon I'll meet the little being growing inside me. Alex entered the room and wrapped me in his arms, and at that moment, I knew everything would be all right. Together, we'll face any challenge and enjoy all the joys life brings us. Subscribe to the channel and click on the notification. Help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers. This way YouTube will deliver this content to more people who will benefit. I count on your help. The end of my story is not an end, but a new beginning. A beginning full of love, hope, and the promise of a bright future. I'm grateful for every lesson learned, every tear shed, and every moment of struggle, because all of it brought me here. Looking ahead, I know the best is yet to come. My journey continues, not as someone who survived circumstances, but as someone who triumphed and found her true path. With Javier by my side and a baby on the way, my life is full of infinite possibilities, and I'm ready to embrace them all with an open heart and eyes set on the horizon. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to continue bringing moving stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.